So if you watched my previous video, which if you haven't, you should definitely watch after this, of course, I not so subtly hinted at making this video. I ended up making it less than a day, in less than a day. Anyways, the main rules for this list are no starters because both Venusaur and Charizard are already in, and Blastoise has already been announced, and that's not even including Cinderace. Frankly, I feel like they would be a big priority on adding to the game, so I'm just going to exclude them outright. I'm also going to exclude legendaries and mythicals, because there are no playable legendaries, and Zeraora was a bonus for launch players. I think for the most part, legendaries will be relegated to wild encounters like how Zapdos is implemented. Also, I'm not going to try to include too many Pokemon from Gen 1 or ones that were in Pokken Tournament because I feel like those Pokemon are overrepresented. I don't know. Now for that, we have the groundwork laid out. Even though I know some comments will still ask, what about Chimchar or what about Decidueye? They're not eligible. I'm not even trying to put my favorites on here. If I genuinely can't find a good way to adapt a Pokemon to a MOBA, then I'm just going to leave it off the list. I'd imagine Clawitzer would be a jack of all trades if implemented correctly. I'd imagine it being ranged with a ton of utility. It start off with simple Water Gun and Aqua Jet, then you get a tree with a huge arsenal. Potential moves could be Heal Pulse, which would heal your teammates. Water Pulse, Dark Pulse, or Dragon Pulse would also be good attacks. Muddy Water, Crab Hammer, and Ice Beam would also be huge hits. I was originally going to add Galley to this list because of the Gardevoir announcement. However, there were two things that stopped that from unfolding. One reason being, I wouldn't know how to differentiate Gallade from Gardevoir, considering I haven't played Gardevoir myself. And also, there hasn't been a split evolution added, so I wouldn't know how to implement that, or if it will get implemented in the first place. Which definitely gave me a headache on how it would be implemented. Like, will you just press the D-pad, just like learning new moves? We're just going to talk about Ninjask. The reason I bring that up here is because Nincada technically has a split evolution, if Shedinja counts, but that's kind of a bonus. I think for now, I'm just going to focus on Ninjask instead of Shedinja. Some of the good potential early moves for Nincada/Ninjask could be Mud Slap, Absorb, and Fury Swipes. But later, when you level up, you can get some good moves like X-Scissor, Agility, or U-Turn. Just in case the move wasn't assigned, then Ninjask is going to be very fast and will get in a few hits before you can even see it. This playstyle effectively necessitates team play. When you're caught on your own, you're kind of out of luck, especially with the Snorlax. So for my inspiration for Zoarark was the Spy from Team Fortress 2. Making the opposite team think you're one of them is such a cool mechanic to me, and I feel like would definitely work in Pokemon Unite. And the prime candidate is Zoarark. I don't think Zoarark should one-shot necessarily like the Spy, but that doesn't mean Zoarark should be weak either. You could describe him as a glass cannon, where he's also fast. Foul Play would be a late-game ability that in the main series uses the target's attack stat and damage calculation. My interpretation for this in a MOBA would be bonus damage if the user has a raised attack or when using a Unite move. Okay, so including Lycanroc may be confusing since I talked about not including Gardevoir, but it can still work. My go-to Lycanroc form would be either midday or dusk. Maybe the evolution depends on when in the game Rockruff evolves. Instead of talking about the evolution method, let's just talk about the moveset. I imagine Lycanroc would be a hard hitter regardless of what form it takes. Midday and Dusk would definitely be faster, and Midnight would be more bulky. Accelerock would be an easy staple move to include. I just imagine a more offensive version of Crustle when thinking of Lycanroc. Toxtricity would be very useless before it evolves. Toxel would have moves like Acid and Nuzzle, but when it levels up, it'll get better, like Thunderbolt Venoshock, and Overdrive for a good AoE, and possibly Drain Punch for healing. Toxtricity is one of the standout Generation 8 Pokemon, and frankly, I wasn't sure if I could adapt another Gen 8 Pokemon into Unite. I mean, if Eldegoss is playable, then there has to be others. Also, if there was another Pokemon with a plus or minus passive ability, it could increase Toxtricity's special attack even further. I figured Pokemon Unite could use a basic ground type. I initially was going to pick Crocodile for this role, but I put my Gen 5 bias aside and decided Hippowdon was the better option. The biggest reason being the animations would be a better fit. I think the biting of a hippo would be better than just of a crocodile or, slashes. The starting moveset would be a simple sand attack and a bite. But this tanky ground type can learn moves, possibly like Yawn, which puts opponents to sleep, and Rest for some self-healing. You can easily escape Hippowdon, so this pick would be an easy pick for a defensive option, but won't be as broken as Snorlax. If Pikachu is too mainstream for your taste, then I have the fast electric type Pokemon that may be more your speed. Enter Zebstrika, with a passive ability that could either be Lightning Rod, which being hit with electric type attacks increase special attack, or Zebstrika's hidden ability, Sap Sipper, which has the same effect, but with grass type attacks. Most of Zebstrika's attacks will emphasize the speed, such as Quick Attack, Flame Charge, Wild Charge, and Agility. For good measure, we'll add Shockwave so any Pokemon can be paralyzed, which are rolling around at the speed of sound. Porygon-Z is technically a Kanto, Johto, and Sinnoh rep all in one evolutionary line. This will be very tricky mon to learn, but once you know what you're doing, it can be absolutely devastating to any enemies that come across you. Moves like Recycle, Recover, Magic Coat, and Electro Web will be some fitting status moves, and for damaging moves, you have choices including Psybeam, Tri-Attack, Zapped Cannon, and Thunderbolt. For a Unite move, it would be an amazing reference if Porygon triggers epileptic seizures, like that one anime episode. Obstagoon would be another good basic all-arounder. Most of the attacks would be pretty basic like Night Slash, Pin Missile, Headbutt, Sand Attack, Fury Claws, and Takedown. Some neat passive abilities could be Pickup, where Zigzagoon uses other players' items. Alternatively, Reckless would fit Obstagoon better, where he wouldn't take any moves that cause recoil damage and will boost attack. And for my final pick, I have Gliscor. Gliscor would be right at home trapping and stalking opponents to get kills. Most of the speed will come in bursts, with moves like U-Turn, Acrobatics, and Steel Wing. Other choices of attacking consist of Stone Edge, Rock Tomb, Sky Uppercut, and Secret Power. My only concern on the implementation of Gligar and Gliscor would be the animations. Would these Pokemon just hover around the ground? The Sun and Moon animations have them gliding. Despite being half ground type, they never seem to touch the ground. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sure this will be the final Pokemon Unite video for a while, but you can watch me play live on my Twitch channel. Before you go, I do recommend you watch some of my other videos, and like, and subscribe. Thank you so much. Before you head out of the video, if you've made it this far, make sure you comment Nerf Snorlax.